a nice ceiling.
All right. So, okay. Introduce. Okay, so I'm going to ask our host to unmute himself. Okay. All right. Okay, George, do you want to unmute your father's? Okay, so you're unmuted. All right, everybody. Everybody can see me, correct? Wave your hand. You can see me, perfect. All right, well, welcome. Happy Thursday. I am super excited that you guys all joined us tonight. I have a really special lecturer this evening, and he was referred to me by my stepmother in Maryland, and he spoke to the library where she works, and they had hundreds of people there, and she said, you know what, your members would love to listen to this gentleman speak, because it's just a feel-good person. He's led such a full life. And at age 99, it is just unbelievable, the stories that he can tell, and that we're never too old to, like to kickstart our life again. So I am happy to introduce our guest lecturer this evening. So Mr. Armiger Jagoe, I think I figured out how to pronounce his last name.
Good.
But without further ado, I am going to give you the floor. Thank you for coming tonight.
Good. All set. Am I on now?
You are on now, and you are talking to all our members at Gleneagles Country Club in Delray Beach, Florida.
I want to start out by saying one of the most famous quotations. A man says, the longest journey is a journey inside, which is one of the truest statements you can make. All of us, I had about 4 years ago, I wrote a book, and I mean every word of it, I said, I love being old, because I've had so much time now to reflect, to enjoy. It's just been wonderful to be old. Before, I didn't have time to do that. And you have to realize, to know yourself, you have to realize how many people have you been. Each of them were completely different. And when you go home tonight, I want you to write down how many people you have been. For example, in my situation, I wrote it down. I said, I'm now enjoying my 7th life. The first was 18 years growing up on the Mississippi Gulf Coast on a house where I never saw anyone across the street. It was just the Gulf of Mexico. A wonderful place to grow up. My second life, I discovered New England when I had 3 years at Harvard University. Then my third life, I entered the U.S. Air Corps in 1941, and during World War II and the 12th Air Force in Corsica, I flew 74 combat missions and received the Distinguished Flying Cross, the 2 clusters, which is very nice. Then after serving in the European theater in 1945, I began a third life with a Hartford Insurance Company. It was a corporate life as a teacher and undergraduate. And then in my 4th year,
how did I get the sound from here?
What's that? All right. In my 4th career, I founded CIMA. It was a one-man insurance brokerage firm, a risk management firm in Washington, which I sold to my employees in 1988. And during the 30-year period, I headed 4 civic organizations, including Barnabas, makes it possible for creating jobs for ex-convicts. And I was a co-founder of Vehicles for Change, which has been an amazing thing. My contribution to that was you not be suffering for nothing. It's so difficult to help somebody without destroying their sense of dignity. So we founded a vehicle for change with the idea of equal partnership. And it's today the most successful vehicle of that type to get people donate their cars to help unfortunately change their lives. And we have over 35,000 families.
Family radios? Yeah.
And have you ever heard of that vehicle?
Where's the person speaking? Yeah. It was on the small
Mute your.
I think it is.
Then my fifth life, I initiated Protected Gun. It's an agency working with clients who wanted to buy insurance companies. It was completely different. So I had to learn all over again. And then in the year 2000, I divided my next life to writing 6 books. And my 7th life is devoted to boosting the lives of fellow citizens. I want everybody to have as much fun as I am. And I love every hour of being old. I had one of the books that I wrote about that was, let me see, here it is. It's Amazon published it. It's called I Love Being Old. And it lists all the reasons why I love being old and enjoy every minute of it. Then I wrote, to cover the first 18 years of my life, I wrote a book called Southern Boy. I was growing up on the Gulf Coast. And then for the next period of my life, I covered from 18 to 26, World War II. And my book is called A Southern Boy Grown Up. So I enjoyed spreading the word around to encourage other people to do that. So I want to show of hands now. When you go home tonight, count up how many lives you've been. And in order to realize who you are today, you have to try and relate to some of those people you have been. In my situation, I find it impossible. I can't think back to that person who I was 3 or 4 years for my 4th or 5th life. And it's staggering, but to know who I am today, I have to be able to try to relate to what that person, what he did, what he thought, and how he behaved. So that's a real challenge for you. The next thing I want to point out is when anyone asks me for advice, whether they're young, middle-aged, or seniors, I say 2 things: change and have no regrets. Nothing is sadder than to see a senior who says, "Oh, I wish I had." And in my situation, I've made more mistakes than any human being you know of, but I have no regrets of having tried and lost, which is a good thing to do. You have to change. You have to make every day different. No 2 days can be the same. For example, I have the colors of the day. Every day I have to notice something green. Tuesday, yellow. Wednesday, blue. Thursday's a hard one. I have to look for something orange. Friday is red. Saturday is my favorite color, purple. And Sunday is all colors. So it gives me a purpose to be alert and aware. Once a week, I change a picture in my office. Otherwise, you don't see it. But if things are that static, you don't see them. But if you change every week, you'll do that. Also, every week I change the object that wows me. You know, our poet laureate is Jagoe, an American Indian with amazing poetry. And she said, she has a 2-line poem. It says, honor the maker, honor what's made. Think about that. Honor the maker, which is your God, your creator, whoever does the maker supreme, and honor what he made. In my situation, I have 2 things. First, from a restaurant, I brought home an oyster shell. I'll show it to you. It's amazing. It's 3 layers at the top, which no jeweler could do today. On the top, there's barnacles, little clams. It's rough as can be. And on the inside, it's as smooth as a baby's ass. It's amazing. That's where they found where the oyster grew and developed into the fruit that he is. So, but it has to be something that you look at and you say, wow. And I look at this, I go, wow, how can that be done? Another object I look at, I change this once a month. This is a petrified coral wreath. And when I look at this, I can visualize 1 million years ago, these were green, throbbing little animals, insects moving back and forth 1 million years ago. And look at the number of them. It's just astounding. I also have a piece of petrified wood, and I look at it and I say, you came from a tree that the dinosaur ate leaves off of. You know, wow. So you need a lot of wows for that. Now, change of subject. When I was doing workshops, I would ask, everyone who wished they knew more about their grandparents, raise their hand. You know what happened? Every friggin' hand went up. Everyone wished they knew more about their grandparents, including me. I would love to have an evening with my father just to find out things that I'll never know because of I didn't ask. So don't let your 20 years from now, when somebody asks your ancestors what they want to know, they will say, my grandmother recorded the family history, how things were back then, and I know who I am, and have a pride in being. And this began when I was, one summer, my wife and I were going up to Prince Edward Island for vacation, and my kids said, Dad, while you're there, write about yourself, which you never talk about. And so before that, I went to Barnes & Noble, and I bought every book, about 6 books, about how to write about yourself. The first afternoon, I went out on the porch with the books, and in half an hour, I'd thrown all of them into the trash can, because it was, you have somebody who wants to do creative writing, and you give him a check by the numbers painting. So I used them, I ignored them. Then I just winged it, and I wrote my life story, and then my guardian angel or something made me examine it, and I realized there were 8 important factors in writing about yourself. And the next fall, when I was in London, I went to the British Library and discussed it with them. They're very excited with this concept. And they gave me 30 of the best autobiographies ever written in order to test my theory with it. It began with Xenophon in 400 BC, all the way up to Catherine Graham, and it worked. So at the British Museum now, they use that as a guide. And I published a book called You Are Next in Line, because explaining the 8 points, because you are next in line. There's nobody ahead of you who's going to write about your family as well as you can. So you should do that. And okay, now change this from a one-person thing. What questions, comments do you have? I want to hear it. George?
Does anybody, well, I guess you're asking questions, you want people to ask you questions about their lives or what?
About anything, just to talk. What are your thoughts? Does any of this that I talked about, does it make sense to you? Something you didn't understand? What are your thoughts?
Okay, I'm allowing everybody to speak. So I guess one question would be is how many have started writing their autobiographies about themselves? Has anybody here, one of our members? I don't know, I think people are pretty quiet, Armiger. I don't know, they might be bashful.
Can I ask a question? What is your greatest achievement in your life that you believe? What did you do that stands out? Could have been having your kids. I don't know. What is the best thing that highlights?
The best thing that happened to me, I was a 37-year-old bachelor, and very popular as a bachelor, of course. And on Christmas Day, I was forced to go to a cocktail party, and there was a beautiful young lady from Barcelona, Spain, who was there for a month, and that changed my life. And 60 years later, she's still the most important person in my life. So that's my highlight. What about you? What would you say is your highlight?
Gee, you caught me off guard. I guess my grandchildren,
Aren't they fun?
Yeah, they're doing well. And yeah, I'm next in line. Yes, there's no.
I heard somebody say that if I knew grandkids were so much fun, I would have had them first.
I agree.
Yeah, great. Good.
How did World War II change your outlook on life?
I'm still puzzling about it. You know, I was with this amazing B-25 bomb group in Corsica, and every day we were flying to Italy, and we were sometimes we were mostly knocking out bridges and escape routes. Knocked out the Brenner Pass that the Germans were using to bring the supplies into Italy. But several times we would use what we call frag bombs, which are horrible things. They drop clusters of hand grenades. And there was an attack on the Montefalco south of Rome, and we participated in that. And the next day, they credited our squadron for having killed 3,000 Germans. And we said, hooray! It never occurred to me that there were high schools, there were college students, there were parents, there were husbands, and I slept well that night. But now that I'm old, I kind of beat my chest on that, but I had no choice. But the thing is, I'm amazed at who I was then, what my attitude was. And also, too, not one time did I go to bed at night worrying about the mission to be flown the next day. And that's crazy. and but that's getting to know myself and trying to puzzle it. What other comments do we have? I'm listening.
Is your wife still alive?
Oh, she sure is.
Ah,
In fact, she's is sauteing a trout for dinner tonight after the show. And she's fantastic.
how long are you married?
61 years. And of course, I didn't get married till I was
37.
37. Yeah. So, but it's been one time I told a psychiatrist, I said, not for one moment have I not wanted to be married and not wanted to be married to ever. And he said, that's impossible. And I told him where to go,
Oh,
which he didn't appreciate. But also, each of my, I have 4 children, boy, girl, and each of them are so special. And I really am so blessed with that. And I have about 10 grandkids and 1 great granddaughter named Ruby in Seattle, who's a beautiful little child. So life moves on. It's wonderful. But I really, I put my hand in the fire and say, I wouldn't be a day younger for anything. I love being old. And it's of course, I worry about the country, and I worry about many of the hurtings of the world. But I appreciate being old and being able to do that, and so to be an active part in what's going on. So,
How are you coping with the virus now?
well, no, when we moved to Chicago, we have a wonderful setup. We have an apartment on the 1st floor. My daughter and her husband on the 2nd floor. On the 3rd floor, we have a widowed cousin with a 4-year-old. So we all have individual lives, but several times a week we get together, which is great. But I really don't have. We have we're in a residential area in Chicago, and we have my daughter had a wonderful walled-in around the house with a beautiful patio, and sometimes I go out and sit in the patio just to sun and listen to the city noises. But the rest of the time I'm so busy inside, I really don't have time to work, because I have once I enjoy so much. I started, I guess 3 years ago, I started a newsletter called I Love Being Old Club. And I now have 1,500 members all over the world. And so once a month, I send a newsletter out to them. And it's been so popular, it goes up by 200 every month. And any of you who'd like to be on the mailing list, just send me your email address. And my address is A like Apple, L like Louis, Jagoe, Jagoe at Gmail, and give me your email address, and I'll have my agent add you to the list. Which it's a lot of fun. I love it. The day after I send it out, I get about 50 letters from people who are commenting on the book, on the newsletter. So join the club. It's love to have you. So
can we repeat that address? It's A as in apple, L as in love. What's the next letter?
I'll put that in the chat. How's that for everybody? Okay.
It's A as in my last name, Jagoe, Jagoe, Jagoe at gmail.com.
Oh, okay.
But I think you're going to enjoy it, and I start out with a quiz, which which only a senior can answer. And then I have letters and comments, and I think it's fun. So you'll enjoy it. So go to it. Welcome aboard.
Wonderful.
Anything else from you handsome people, you?
What would you recommend to young people today to see beyond the whatever they're thinking at this time? I think that for myself, you know, I'm old as well as you are, and I just see a lot of time wasted because youth sometimes is wasted on youth. What message would you say to young people today? What aspirations?
It's the same thing I tell you. It's change, and no regrets.
Oh my goodness.
And
That's a really good one.
I tell you, also, I really think I've affected so many lives of people in their late 20s or 30s. And one of them was a university professor in Arizona, and he said, "You have changed my life. I was on the wrong track completely. So I feel so smug and happy now." But the thing is, don't hesitate to change. And if you're too comfortable, that means you're ready for a change. And have no regrets. Whatever you want to do. It's I know I went when I was with Elder Hostel. Remember Elder Hostel? That was a great organization for seniors. And I was in New Zealand, and the guide took us to the top of a mountain where there's a wonderful restaurant, all glass, looking out over the valley. And I saw them hang gliding. And I said, "I'm going to do that." And the director said, "That's never been done by anybody before." I said, "Well, I'm going to do it." She could have killed me. And her name was Barbara. And she was a tough-looking woman. Remember a movie called Tugboat Annie? That's what she looked like, real tough. And she made me sign about 6 papers releasing her and the organization. And I did the hang gliding and loved it. And when we landed in the park, as I bounced on my ass on the ground, Barbara was standing there with her arms crossed, saying, "I hope he broke his neck." And to make things worse, the next morning at breakfast, 4 of the younger people in the group said, "If that old codger can do it, I'm going to do it too. I'm going to do it today." And today, Bob is one of my closest friends. We correspond once a week, and she's a fantastic person. But we always laugh about how our friendship began with hatred, and now it's developed into a lifetime love affair. That's great. So change and no regrets. I began writing a chapter called Entrepreneurship That Didn't Flourish, and I ran out of space. All the things I tried that bellied up, and but I have no regrets.
How do you keep from getting regrets?
Let me think, how do I keep from getting regrets? I just do what I want to, and take a chance. And it is I'm now writing another book called "Those Were the Days, My Friend." But I wanted to record how life was after World War II, which is, some of the things they can't realize how different the country was in those days. We were all together group, and I sense today that we've become a me America, which I don't like at all. It's just not what's good for the country, our reputation nationwide, worldwide. It's just a me that I want to talk about when it was us situation. So I hope to get that finished this year, but it's it's a challenge for me. Good. What? Anything else?
So nobody else is asking a question. I have a million. As I'm entering my latter years, I say, well, maybe I'll live another 5 years, or maybe I'll make it 10 years. How do you look into the future?
Oh, on a day-to-day basis.
That's what I wanted to know.
I wake up in the morning and say, wow,
Ah,
I'm alive. It's wonderful. And I really, I excite myself up about it. What a wonderful day it's going to be. Oh, so exciting. And every day I record on my computer two things. First, a miracle that happened the day before. And number two, I record my dreams. The psychiatrists say, don't try to analyze them, but when you sleep, your mind is like a computer that cleans itself out. And before you go to bed at night, try tonight to say 3 times, I want to remember my dreams. I want to remember my dreams. I want to remember my dreams. And first thing in the morning, by expressing your mind, write it down. And then an hour later, you won't be able to forget it written down. Then in my computer, I record what my dreams were the night before. And also, if I can't think of a miracle that happened the day before, I feel guilty because there was a miracle and I didn't recognize it as such.
Oh.
So, amen. What else? Talk it to me.
Have you been ill and had to deal with illness?
No, I've been the most blessed person on earth. And I have, when you get to 100, your skin, it itches like hell. And I wake up in the night, it's been an hour rubbing down with coconut oil, but then I go back to sleep, it's no problem. And I have it in my book, one of my books, I say that it is if I had to put a designation, I do put a designation after my name on my mailing list and letters. It's Tembooe, Tmbooe. It says Armiger Jagoe Tembooe. And the Tembooe stands for the most blessed one on earth. But I'm convinced that I am the most blessed one on earth. And one of the saddest statements I ever heard was a Bulgarian food server who told me, no, because I am not blessed. That statement really shook me up because I felt like nobody can say that. If you can take a deep breath, you can be, it's wonderful. One of my closest friends that I talk to twice a month is a super sportsman who was surfing and a wave hit him the wrong way and he turned him over and he broke his neck.
Ah.
And Patrick, to this day, he can move his hands and his head, but he's on a respirator. He needs 24-hour nursing, and he's one of the happiest people I know. He's a wonderful guy. I talked to him this week. I said, what do you have planned for this week? He said, well, I'm doing a video to explain how to use the respirator for people who having trouble, especially with the virus today. So he's doing a video to help others, and he brightens my Monday and my Saturdays. And I asked him first, Monday, what do you have planned? And then Saturday, what did you accomplish? He's always so upbeat. And so I say, Tembooe, Tembooe, Tembooe. I am the most blessed one on earth. So good to count your blessings. So.
Do you have any living siblings?
Oh, sure I do. No, I don't. No, I had an older sister. She lived in Florida, south of Palm Beach, a community called Atlantis. and we were very, very close. And but she died. She died in I guess about 20 years ago. Of course, I'm the oldest, oldest of all the priests. Nobody. My father died at 75, and my mother at 83, and here I am, 100 coming up, and feeling like I'm 35 without good sense.
So what's your secret? Do you drink wine? Did you smoke? Eat vitamins? What?
No, I don't. It's so interesting. Oh, I guess for 30 years, I had every night Monday I have a bourbon, Tuesday I'd have Irish whiskey, Wednesday would be a Jameson, then I would have vodka and then scotch. I do it every night, but in the last year I've changed my taste, and now I'm completely alcohol upsets me. And I drink a different juice every day. Maybe I like grape juice, apple juice, V8, clam juice. So I have a different drink every morning with my breakfast. So that makes up for it. So.
Did you ever exercise?
I sure do. I have a very unusual thing. I go to sleep about 9 o'clock, and then I wake up around 10:30 or 11. I spend an hour oiling my body down. I go back to sleep for 4 hours. Then I wake up and I do about half an hour of isometric exercises. Then I do something called Qigong. You should check into that. It's called the Qigong, Qigong for seniors. What the isometric takes care of the muscles, but the Qigong gives you flexibility. And I do that, and then I go back to sleep for 4 hours. Then I do the rosary, then I do a little reading, and then I go back to sleep for 4 hours, and then I wake up at between 7:30 and 8, ready to go. So it's a complete different sleep custom that I've worked out. It works for me. So I don't know how each of you have worked that out. So.
Did you ever smoke?
Well, yes, I smoked a pipe occasionally, but it was no effort for me to give it up. And I haven't smoked for, probably 50 years. So, I remember the smoking days, though. Remember when you opened the closet door where your jacket was hanging the night before, smelled of smoke? Those were the days, yeah. But it's made my, I can't take credit for it because my system just changed and said, let's try something different. So I'm off alcohol completely, but I'm getting a kick out of my juices, which is a change every day, and I enjoy it. It's just great. Also, I'm very careful about eating healthy food. I have the recommended breakfast sometimes of a banana, rice, toast, and apple sauce. And I do that several times a week. And so it's I eat a lot of vegetables, and I eat a very rare hamburger once a week. And so that keeps the body in shape. That's good. Any questions or comments or questions?
I read your book. You gave me a copy. Southern Boy growing up, and from where you grew up, in, the Gulf shores of Mississippi, and explain to our audience, how what it was like for you to grow up and the transformation that became you from going to college and being able to do that, and how people gave you chances and opportunities to do that, coming from where you were.
I sure did. Because we lived in Gulfport, on the Gulf Coast. It's halfway between New Orleans and Mobile. And my mother had one brother who's very successful, very wealthy, and he was in New Orleans on an errand for President Roosevelt, and he came over and spent the day with us. And when I was working at a men's clothing store downtown, I was 18 years old. And after I left, he told my mother, said, if that boy can get into Harvard, I will pay his way. And before his car was out of the driveway, my mother's on the telephone calling the superintendent of schools, and he's checked. And back then, Harvard was desperate to get boys from the South and the West. So they made a rule that any boy who was in the highest 7 of the boys in his graduating class could get into Harvard without an examination. And they checked, and I was number 9. But since nobody on the Gulf Coast had ever been to Harvard, and I was dating the superintendent's daughter, they subjusted it, and I became number 7. So I got into Harvard without even knowing how to spell Harvard. And going from a town on the Gulf Coast that was 80 years old up to Boston, that was 300 years old, I just soaked up everything. I loved everything about Boston. The art galleries, the musicals, the new food. And I said I liked everything about Harvard except academia. But studies meant nothing to me. I was very fortunate, and my one talent was writing, and I had a young college professor named Walter Stegner, who was a young fellow from the West who started there. He kind of took me under his wing and encouraged me to keep writing. And one of the highlights of my Harvard time was Walter Stegner asked me and another student to come to his little dinky apartment one night, and he had Robert Frost over. They were close friends. And we sat on the floor and without saying a word, just listened to Robert Frost and Walter Stegner talk. And I can remember every word they said. It was just a wonderful experience. So then I realized that every stage of my life has been exciting, wonderful, and a blessing. So it's great.
You're an incredible person.
I'm Tambui. I really am. I kind of wake up and say, why me? Why me? And I'm so blessed. But the thing is, every one of you have been so blessed, but it's important to acknowledge, and it's a nice way to say thanks too, when you count your blessings. So.
Have you, who else, you met Robert Frost, and is there anybody else in your lifetime that you've met that has left such an impact in your life?
Oh, Eisenhower. It was when after I got my wings as a bombardier navigator. It was Christmas time, and they gave us a week at home. And my uncle and aunt lived 2 blocks south of us on Connecticut Avenue. And Christmas afternoon, my mother said, Aunt Mary has a flu, and we should stop by to see her. And Father didn't go, but Mother and I walked down. And while we were in her bedroom, someone knocked on the door. And I said, I'll get it. I went there and opened the door. And if God had been standing there, I would have been more surprised. There was Eisenhower in his shirt sleeves. And they always taught me how to respect a senior officer, but not a five-star general. So I froze, and he came in, grabbed my hand, and said, "Glad to meet you, Lieutenant." Then I followed him to Mary's room, and we had a visit. But then after that, years later, I headed his Veteran for Ike at the Republican Convention in Chicago. And I saw him a few times there, but I was always so impressed with him. So he made a lasting impression on me. And about a couple of years later, before he was president, my uncle gave a small party for him in his apartment, and Eisenhower was talking to several diplomats, and they were circled around him, and with the guts of a young idiot, I went up and I said, General Eisenhower, may I say something to you? And he said, yes. And I said, I'm going over to visit a little quadruped orphan, and he would love to have a note from you. And without any flourish, the general said to these dignitaries, "Excuse me, gentlemen, something very important has come up." And I went in Mary's bedroom, and he wrote a note with this kid kept for the rest of his life. And then he came back, and he didn't comment at all. He didn't think, what a great guy I am. But I loved his modesty and sincerity. So he made a lasting impression on me. Next, anything else? I gave you the whole bale of hay, so.
This is an opportunity. How about technology? You've been 100 years, about a century. You've witnessed so much technology, and you've seen so much technology, and then the climate change and things, and we're all rediscovering that. What goes on in your mind with everything that has happened in your lifetime?
The first book I wrote was called The Winning Corporation. And I predicted the most amazing things happened. It's called the I blank out the it was the computer, the printer, the amazing printer. It wasn't an old Xerox machine. It was a printer then, and I did the most amazing things that revolutionized American business. And I've just tagged along, and of course I can't live without my computer now, which very, very important. I feel like I'm handcuffed if I don't have my computer with me to open up my email and do my writing and record keeping. So I have the telephone numbers for all the people I want to talk to. So it's great to be on top of it. It's just great. And also I'm planning my 100th birthday. I'm going to in February. I want to go to New Orleans before Mardi Gras, and then spend a week there, and then go to the Gulf Coast for 4 days. So God willing, and Tambouille, I'm going to be there. So you're all invited to join me. It's going to be a big party. It's going to be great. So.
Do you have a cell phone?
No, I don't. I don't, because I really don't need it, because I'm at my desk all day, and I take it I'll take it to New Orleans when I go with me, but I really don't have any need for it because I have my computer right in my office. So, do you use it all the time?
Yes, but if you don't go anyplace, if you are always around your office, you are right. You don't really need.
I really don't, and I appreciate other people having it because it makes me easier to get in touch with them. But I really don't need it because I'm also anywhere in the apartment I can hear it ring in my office, so I don't miss any calls. So that's good. Also, the telephone is so important because I have I also keep a record of the timing because when I'm calling friends in Rome or New Zealand, England, I have to think back. Am I waking them up? Or what? So I work my time back on calling them. But it's great to keep in touch with people. And I think if there's anything I don't like, is a stranger. And I want to know something about everybody that I'm associated with. And there's no such thing as the average person. Everybody is special, including my nurse that just we're leaving right now. You're great. So.
I will have to tell everybody that every time I have called and spoken with the Armiger, he answers the phone. I think he picks it up like 2 seconds before the answer machine will pick up, or right before it. But it's been amazing. Yeah, I didn't even know that he wasn't even using it. The cell phone, the number that I have is not even a cell phone. But yes, he answers all the emails back, and he answers all his phone calls. It's truly amazing.
And if any of you people want to call me, give them my phone number. I'm ready and willing. So we'll swap stories, all right? But
yeah.
But
I gave him my phone number, and people were like, "Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, "I love it. I love to have people call me all the time. I really do. That's one of the best things I've done is give our members my cell phone number, especially during these times."
But also too, I really do want you to get join the I Love Being Old Club by sending me your email, because that way we're in touch from now on. So it's we're arm in arm. As long as and every month we'll be in touch with one another. So to me, that's a bonus. I love it. That's great. So. You know, hostess, you know who's enjoyed this more than anybody else? Me.
You.
I love it. And I'd love
Tell
to.
him what you said, because I told him I didn't know how many people were going to come on tonight, and I said we might only have 2 people. And what did you say about that?
I said I want to meet them. That's great. Put them on. That's great. But
he said we'll have a picnic.
That's right. And it's wonderful to have someone. And if I get to Florida, I'm coming by to check on every one of you and say, have you done your homework? Have you done your this? So don't be backsliding now. Remember, you're going to count the number of people you've been. You're going to change, have no regrets, and qualify to put Tim Bowie after your name, the most blessed one on earth. So.
I have a friend who's 102, and she lives in an old farmhouse in upstate New York. I love going there. The kitchen is 1950s, and I step back into the past, and she tells me how much a loaf of bread was in 1930. On and on we go, and I just wonderful. It has a wonderful outlook on life, very optimistic, and says to me, if I were to go tomorrow, I've had a wonderful life. I have no regrets. And I think that's why she's alive and walking and talking, and her mind is better than mine.
You know, every morning I say, God, I'm too busy to die. So call me tomorrow. I'm too busy today.
Oh, that's great.
And I mean it. So
Yeah.
I always say that I want to drop dead in an English pub, my favorite pub in England. And if I have 10 seconds before I hit the floor, I'm going to say 2 words. You know what they were?
But
Thanks and damn. I've got a lot of things planned. You're gonna be sorry, but I really am. I can't believe how much fun I'm having. I get so excited about every day, which is great. And tomorrow is going to be even better than today, and today is a peak. So I don't know how I'm going to manage it. What a treasure it is to have met all of you, and so I want to stay in touch.
Okay. Thank you so much for this wonderful talk.
Thank you so much, and everybody sleep well. All right.
Okay.
And remember.
thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Okay. And remember, record your dreams, and record the memory. The miracle happened. My miracle is meeting you. You're special.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank
so
you.
much.
All right.
Good night.
I like every one of you bums.
Oh, nice.
Very good. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you, Tammy.
All right. Thank you for everybody for coming. I appreciate it. So I recorded this. I will send the recording off tomorrow as soon as we get it uploaded, and I'll put the information in there. And truly, yeah, he really means it. To send him emails, and if you guys want his phone number, he's just, yeah, it's refreshing to talk to him. It takes a while to understand it. He's amazing.
Right.
Oh, yes, he is.
When I take my teeth out, you can understand me. So that's better. I'm just for you.
Last question, how did you get such a positive attitude?
I just don't know. I just am buoy, the most blessed one on earth. So that's wonderful. Good.
We're all good.
I'll work on it. Be good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.